That's up
Okay.
to you. Yeah.
Um, I'm John Burr. I'm the newly elected chair. Welcome to the Armory Park Historic Zone Advisory Board meeting of May 19th at 6:30. Um, Full agenda, 3 reviews. Anyway, I'll try to get back into form. It's been a while. I think everybody's already identified, so I'll go ahead and I called the meeting at 6:32 p.m. and I'll do roll call. I'm here, Steve Grady,
Present.
Martha McClements,
Present.
Jan Mulder,
Here.
Maurice Roberts. We see you, Maurice. Can you turn on your voice for the recording?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. Here.
Great. Matt Smith is not here yet, and Lynn Sutherland.
Here.
Great. Um, All right, item 2, review and approve the legal action report for the meeting from April 21st, 2026.
John, I'm sorry, I had my mic off. I'm sorry, I'm here too.
Oh, sorry, Stan. I checked you off without it. Great. You've got it, Desiree? Great. All right. Um, Review and approval of the legal action report from last month's meeting. There were a couple things. Desiree revised them before they got posted. They were shared with PRS. We have not done minutes for that meeting, which was somewhat complicated, and we may want to do that, Steve, later on, but there was no time to get it published or presented. So they look fine to me as presented, but is there a motion to approve and a
So
second?
moved.
Was that Lynn?
That was Martha.
Martha, great. And
I
a
will.
second? Maurice?
I will second. Yeah, second.
Great. Any discussion, any comments? Great. Roll call. Steve?
Aye.
Martha?
Aye.
Jan?
Aye.
Maurice?
I.
Stan?
Aye.
Lynn?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion approved. Call to the audience. I think we just have people affiliated with cases. Did anything come in before they were due?
No, we didn't get any public comment for the cases today.
Okay, then we'll move on to the reviews. Item 4, historic reviews. I will say one thing here that surprised me, and we should probably talk about it under board agenda, but this is the first agenda where it says that we do not necessarily have the option of continuing a case without the consent of the applicant, which has apparently been policy for a number of years, and we'll discuss that issue later, but you should note that this is the first agenda that states that explicitly. Anyway, item 4A, SD-1125-00180/TC RES/0925/04525, 424 East 16th Street, parcel 117071050. And Paul, want to present the
Yeah,
case?
I think I'll provide a bit of
Oh,
background and then
sorry,
I'll hand
Desiree.
it over to Paul. No worries. So I'm actually presenting on behalf of Jason Lilienthal, Historic Preservation Lead Planner for our office. So he is out this week, but he prepared the executive summary. So the project it's for an ADU at 424 East 16th Street in Armory Park. The applicant is Paul Dominguez, who's here today. And sorry, it's actually a garage conversion to a studio. The project was completed by the previous owners, so the current owners are seeking approval post hoc for conversion of the contributing garage into a studio. The alteration occurred sometime between 2022 and 2025. The original garage was corrugated metal and had a corrugated metal roof with wood doors and a gable roof open to one side. The existing studio is enlarged footprint of that original contributing garage, which was 12 by 18 feet. And currently the studio is 12 feet 6 inches by 25 feet 8 inches. The studio maintains the same setbacks as the garage at the northeast and west. The studio has a maximum ridge height of 10 feet, which remains lower than that of the main house, which has a height of 17 feet. The roof material currently is asphalt shingles, and it's clad in stucco with an off-white color matching the existing house. It has double French doors that face the public right-of-way. So the main house on the lot is a craftsman bungalow, which is contributing, built circa 1922. As I mentioned, the original garage was contributing, but due to the changes, it could be argued that it's no longer contributing. We didn't receive any public comments for this project, and staff finds that the proposed work will conform with applicable preservation standards. There was, let's see, an image here. This is from the assessors just to show the square footage.
Could you scroll up just a bit? There were a couple things that weren't in compliance. I think it was parking, enclosures, and utilities.
This is, I think that's not applicable. Yeah, so the last column there is not applicable. Landscaping, enclosure, so meaning like fence or walls. There's no proposed fence or walls as part of this project. No new utilities are proposed, and no changes to parking areas are proposed.
Actually, the backyard was up the parking area, and I think it's gonna all be off-site now, even though there's access gates, because it's got a paved backyard with rocks, and I understand there's a pool on the site. So parking will only be on the street.
We can let that
Yeah.
look in.
Well, there's also a spot. There's a driveway parking spot as well,
Okay. All right. I couldn't.
like on the front of the house on 16th Street.
On the east side, right, Stu?
Correct.
So at this time, I can hand it over to Paul. If you want to just let me know where you want me to scroll.
Could I ask a clarifying question of Desiree or John? It has to do with the checklist and the report, which I really appreciate that you guys are doing these reports now. They're really helpful. But I have a question about everything being marked as satisfied in the summary, like minimal changes satisfied. So it seems like what you evaluated against is the existing condition, even though the contributing structure was changed. Is that correct?
That's what it looks like. Like I mentioned, Jason completed
So
his
is that your
review.
policy, if work is done, that you then evaluate it against existing?
No, it's the policy.
I tried to ask similar questions. Jason's off this week, and I don't think Michael's quite as familiar with these cases, and I don't know if Desiree's had an option. I've had a couple questions about
Yeah, I mean, it showed up on others, but this one is the one that's the most apparent and just
Yeah, I think it's
everything, you know.
Yeah, I think it's a fair question. I didn't have a chance to review this before, today. So, but yeah, I think you have a very fair point. I would agree with you. So,
Okay, thank you.
I think maybe what I would, I think he was probably reviewing it maybe with more within the context of the neighborhood, but in terms of, I think the nuance of the looking at the building as it was historically, I think you bring up fair points.
Yeah, I just thought minimal changes referred to the structure. Sorry.
It's a little odd too, because it's an accessory structure rather than the principal, and nothing's changed on the principal.
Sure, for sure.
The prior owners did go through a number of reviews for
Yeah.
that particular.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Okay, so yeah, Paul, if you want to
Yeah,
see
so
their presentation?
I would scroll down to where we see the images of the back of the home, because I think what they're talking about is basically what we should talk about. I guess we can look at that and we can say that, this existing, or this, well, it is an existing studio. That's how they add us label. It is in the back of the home. So it's on the back of the home. But I think if you scroll farther, scroll up some more. There we go. We can look at that. So that's really what I would uh, like to present to the board, is that this is an existing condition. Obviously, what they renovated is very compatible and very similar to the existing structure. Now, I was brought on board to do as-built drawings of the building, which have been submitted and have been approved. But as an architect, I look at it and I say it's very compatible with the existing structure. It's a stucco building. Proportionally, it's a smaller, lower roof height than the main existing structure, and it's similar in materials.
Do you want to talk about kind of go through any of the elevations?
Well, it's kind of an unusual situation, because if I had designed it, I would be representing and discussing what I did to present to accommodate the requirements of the neighborhood. In this case, that's not what we're doing. I'm evaluating a project, kind of similar to you, looking at it and say, what's the quality of the build? Well, for me as an architect, the quality of the build, it looks like it's very well built. I've been doing houses for years here. The craftsmanship of it, the stucco, the shingles, the door installations, the drywall, all that looks like it's done very well. It For whatever reason, it didn't get a permit. Like I said, from my end of it, I did go through the process. We have gotten the permit. I don't know what else I can explain. Please ask me questions if you want, as far as how we can present this to you to get an approval. Stu, please.
Yeah, I have one other thing to add. I guess when we purchased the property in last May, that we tried to, during like the due diligence period, we tried to get some more information on the studio, but the prior owners were not very forthcoming with the information or any kind of plans, just anything. And frankly, the real estate agent didn't have a great relationship with them either. So I think they were fairly difficult to deal with. We've done some transactions through the years with real estate, and we've always tried to provide as much information to the new owners as possible. And we found that the situation was a little bit of a strange one, because it was like silence. We weren't really getting much out of the prior owners. So the only thing we really gleaned from that was that they put this up during, I think it was sometime during COVID is the story we got. And, they just at that time decided just to go with it without getting a permit. So that's really the only backstory we got. So we've just trying to put the pieces together from here and just make it compliant however we can. It seems to be, like Paul said, it does seem to be really well built and everything, but and it does match with the aesthetic of the existing home. So really just all about trying to get it compliant and improve the property as best we can while keeping the integrity, because we really just love the neighborhood anyway. So we want to just continue that.
We understand your situation. It happens a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
Are we ready for questions? Because Steve's got his hand raised. Steve?
Thank you, John. So just to clarify, is there a change of use? We have a structure that may not have gone through full review, but if you can help me understand, is there a change of use from what the structure is now to what is proposed?
Honestly, that wasn't a question that came up during the review process.
It's kind of interesting because the picture that shows what it looked like in 1993 with garage doors that faced 16th Street was opened up, and you can still see it on Google Street View from older dates. It had a small little studio in the back with an open porch, and the whole front of it was kind of removed, and then it started to be gradually framed up. I do want to say explicitly that the building was torn down, the original garage. It was 2x4 construction. I got 13 complaints from neighbors. I turned it into the prior HPO, and nothing was done with the property. It is a foot taller than it used to be. It's now 2x6 construction. The original was 2x4 nominals, and it was gutted and a new foundation poured over the original, but on the kind of strange offset footprint that was extended to the south. So it should not be considered a contributing structure, in my opinion. But the site is the location and why the setbacks don't bother me as much, just for reference for the board and staff. Other questions from the board?
I'd raise my hand if I knew how, so I'm just going to butt in. I worked with the previous owner on some stuff that he was, and I understand being frustrated with this. What, as a board, basically we're here to say we approve of what's been done. I don't quite understand.
I think the current owners want to have it approved so that the city knows that it exists in its current factor and that it has been reviewed formally by a board to be appropriate to the property in the development zone. Am I correct, Desiree?
Yeah, so we'll see, cases, whether it's a code enforcement case or it's a situation like this, you have a new owner who's buying a property and there was unpermitted work done, right? They're trying to do the right thing and become in compliance, right, with local permitting and historic review. So that's why they're here today. They're hoping to get approval for this, post kind of the work's already been done. It is very unusual, but it also, as John mentioned, it does happen. So that is what they're seeking today.
Okay, thank you. I see Jan's got a question.
Jan?
Yeah. It's not unusual, and it has happened, and it sounds like the owner tried to do the right thing in ferreting out information if possible, which is great. What is unfortunately so far usual, and stating the obvious, the fact that neighbors complained, John turned it in, and nothing happened. So it's really, I think, on the city that we're at this point, and it's just really distressing. It would be one thing if this totally happened under the dark of night and now we are finding out about it, but it was a known problem and nothing happened from code enforcement. And I understand they've moved into your shop, and I hope that's helping because it really shouldn't be happening, and we need to have more disincentives.
It happened in March 2023.
Yeah.
Grace?
John?
Yeah.
Okay. So, again, we're against the fait accompli. Okay. Somebody totally disregarded rules and regulation and did what they did. At the same token, we're dealing with the current homeowner who's doing the right thing, and I give him full credit for it. Okay, I think this is what we need. We need more folks. That are going to do that. Okay, so it would be ridiculous to say, it's too high by 1 foot. Till reduce the height by 1 foot. That would be ridiculous. Okay, so I think we need to accept the fact the way it is, and Uh, I'm very happy that, again, like I said, we have a homeowner who's doing the right thing. Okay, so I would support the project without any back thoughts and any. It's 100% good, and I think we should go for it.
Any other board questions? I got a couple quick comments, but
I have one, John.
sure.
So the demolition, the structure was considered a contributing structure. The corrugated metal garage was a contributing structure.
It was listed, but when it was photographed in 93, it was a single car garage with doors facing to 16th Street.
Right. No, but what was essentially rebuilt? So we have a demolition of a contributing auxiliary structure outbuilding,
Yep.
and then the reconstruction. And so I think that we need to address in our motion, there'll be a couple more comments and questions, but we have to address that we cannot approve the demolition of a contributing structure. And in specific conditions, we can look at it for its compliance. Its appropriateness to the development zone as a structure itself. So I think it's a two-part process, but I think no matter whatever motion we make, we have to say that we cannot approve the demolition of a contributing structure without the full review process.
We're all waiting with bated breath for you to make the motion when it's time, Steve.
Thank you.
I have a couple questions about the existing building. The photo from Google Street View, which is often blurry, the door to the south now that goes into the pool equipment storage room off the yard, is that a flat panel door or is it actually a inset panel door like is shown on your drawing? And what is it made out of, and what are the two French doors made out of?
If you bring those drawings up, there are actual photos of that area, because that we might have misrepresented by mistake, but the photos are actually there, so you can see that. If you could bring those back up.
So it's a flat panel door on the south. And are they wood French doors, or are they fiberglass, or the proportions match the ones that were added to the dining room through a prior review?
Yeah, I should probably know whether they're fiberglass or wood on those French doors. It is just a flat panel door to the rear door on the south. Okay. And the French doors are glass, but I'd actually have to go out there and check whether they're fiberglass or wood. I believe they're, yeah, I could.
And we don't normally approve clerestories, but we often have for ADU or accessory buildings that are not the primary house. So since it's there and it still looks about the same, I don't have a problem with the building per se or its location or waiving the setbacks, because those were established historic setbacks. But I do think any motion that gets made should specifically say that this is no longer a contributing structure and should be removed from the inventory list. Anything else?
I have a question. This is a 10 panel light doors that are in the drawings. Are they still divided lights on the French doors into the structure, or are they now single pane glass?
They're just single pane glass on these divided doors.
I think they probably had snap-ins to make it look the same, because the windows on the rear addition on the main house have the exact same. If you slide over a little bit, you can see they have the exact same proportions. They're newer ones that were approved at a way back when. So they do kind of match that.
Or sorry, I think they are double pane because they do have the screen. There is a blind actually mounted in those glass doors. So they should be double pane.
Okay. Do you have any intention of painting the doors brown to match the house? That might make.
Yeah, they did leave us with some of the exterior or the paint, luckily. So we do have that. So yeah, that might actually.
We wouldn't tell you that. I was just asking.
Yeah, and we hadn't considered it yet. We're kind of taking it one step at a time, but that might be an improvement we decide to make. So definitely keep that into consideration.
Please understand, our consternation is purely because of the situation, but not you.
Okay.
We really appreciate that you're coming forward to get this copacetic with the city.
Yeah. No, I mean, we love being here. We just want to, keep the integrity of the neighborhood, and we plan on being here. So, yeah, whatever we can do to make it compliant, we're on board for that.
Steve?
So I would like to make a motion that we I'm just trying to put it in a hierarchy, that we do not approve the demolition of a contributing structure without due process. We or appropriate process, and that taken into account, we approve the plans as submitted with the exception of the flat panel door to be replaced with a raised panel door similar to the one proposed in the plan, or the one as proposed in the elevation drawings.
Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
Who got to it first? Was that Martha or Jan?
It was
Jan.
Lynn and Jan, but
Lynn
I,
and Jan.
you know,
It
I kept
doesn't
my
matter.
mouth shut for once. That's, something different.
Okay, we'll list you as you, Lynn. You got to it first. I heard your voice.
okay.
Well, we have a question from Stan. We have a question from Stan. Stan wants to say
Oh,
something.
it's all right.
Yeah, I'd only maybe we need to bring it up for a question. I would add that we also need to add that the new building will not be considered a contributing structure.
I meant to say that, and I would like to add that to my motion as the second point, that the structure, because it is a complete reconstruction, it would not be considered a contributing structure. It would lose that status.
I second this second statement.
Great.
Thank you, Stan. I meant to do that.
All right. Any further discussion, or can we call the vote? Okay.
Vote.
Great. Steve?
Aye.
Martha?
Aye.
Jan?
Aye.
Maurice?
Aye.
Stan?
Aye.
Lynn?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
I hope that works for you all. It's a recommendation. You'll go on to PRS. It would help if you can do that, but I really want to thank you again for doing the right thing and coming to us to do this, and welcome to the neighborhood.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here. Appreciate everyone's input.
Great. Thanks. Okay. Are you all set, Desiree, on that one? Can we move on to item B?
Yes.
All right. Item 4B is a review SD 0326-00005-TC-RES-1225-06221 848 South 4th Avenue, parcel number 117-08075B. And I think it's Desiree, do you want to go over the staff review of the project first?
Excuse me, I just have a quick question before Desiree starts. A few years ago, I was looking to buy a house on 19th Street, and I was told that the southern part of 19th Street is not part of Armory Park. Now, if I look at that 848 project, it would be located on the south side of 19th Street.
No, it's on the north
North
side.
side.
And the dividing line is right down the middle of 19th for both the HPZ and the neighborhood.
Okay, all right. One more thing, and after that I'm going to let Desiree speak, but there's a letter from the city of Tucson that lists the address as being 8848 South 4th Avenue. That letter has to do with the person who is in charge of presenting the project. So I believe that needs to be modified. If you scroll down, it's at the bottom of your presentation.
Of this executive summary? Or the plans?
No,
Submittal?
the plan stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe the applicant can address that question.
Okay. Because it's on City of Tucson stationery.
Oh, that's a new form that the city requires applicants to fill out. That's an assessment of the contributing property. It's a new form that
okay.
the city's introduced.
Yeah, because they have 8848 South 4th instead of 848 South 4th.
And it's not the only typo in any application, Maurice. Desiree,
Okay.
Okay.
thanks for bringing
Yeah,
it
it
up.
could be a typo. Sometimes with the ADUs, there's also another address, like a new address that's created. I wasn't sure if that's what you were referring to.
Okay.
Yeah, so this project has two components. There's a detached 800 square foot ADU and a conversion of a carport into 309 square feet of conditioned space. The ADU would have a max height of 11 feet, 6 inches approximately, gray asphalt shingles, clad in white stucco, 6 wood windows, single hung, 1/1 light pattern, and inset with wood casements. It would have an exterior French style fiberglass doors facing south. The carport conversion would be clad in brick veneer with wood windows, single hung 1/1 light pattern and set, and the roof would match the existing home in pitch color and materials. We'll hear more from the applicant, but this is a ranch style contributing property built circa 1975.
I think the doors will face to the north.
Okay. But let's see. This is Jason's analysis. As I mentioned, he prepared this. He finds this compliant with code. So we have two charts here. So we have the contributing property modifications. He finds the proposed work to conform with applicable preservation standards. And then the second is the new construction.
Question about the enclosures. Is it because of the unstuccoed block wall, or is it because of the state of the chain link fences?
Let's see.
And on the motor vehicle, is it because it's going to become a 6-bedroom property with only one driveway space, parking space on site?
So he found it not applicable. But we can hear from
Oh,
the
not
applicant
applicable.
if, yeah,
Okay.
in that last comment.
Okay.
But
Great.
yeah, so Alex Enoch is here to present, and I know Alex he's a frequent flyer here, so Alex, I'll hand it over to you.
Let me find my screen. Give me 1 second. All right, can you guys see my screen?
We're just seeing your Internet Explorer or File Explorer.
Let's see, hold on. I always grab the wrong one. Let's see, is it this one?
You might need to stop sharing and then reshare.
Do you see it now?
Yes.
All right, so actually for starters, first off, I see a lot of new faces in here. And so this is actually continuation. And so I'm not sure how much I need to delve into it. Probably need to kind of recap all of it, I would assume. Is that probably right? Just to make sure we're all on the same page before we go into just the comments that needed to be taken care of per last meeting.
I just want to clarify, that's between the various reviews staff made for continuation, but this is the first time this board has seen this project.
Got it. Okay, then I'll recap it, yeah, just to make sure we're all on the same page. So as Desiree mentioned, let me get to the plans here, and I'll get to the site plan. So what we got going on is we're located off of 19th and 4th. There's an existing main residence. They have a carport, and what we're looking to do is enclose that carport, make it into a master bedroom. Actually, the roof will stay as is, the back wall will stay as is. The part that will be renovated will be the east facing wall, the north facing wall will pop up a new wall that I have a brick veneer to match the existing building. Any of the windows or doors will be wood windows with vinyl clad, and I'll show that more later. And then in the back portion of this, we have a building. It's going on the property line because this property line was kind of wonky the way it was split up originally, but I already got approval from the city as long as we have put in the title report that we're allowed to do as we show. But what we're proposing is an ADU, and the ADU will be a stucco building. It'll have pitched roof. It'll be similar to the existing, and again, it'll have wood windows. The parking that you brought up, the reason why he probably put it not applicable is because the way we're going about this is through the new ADU/middle housing code, where they actually don't require you to put parking anymore, as long as you're within a transit route of a bus. And so therefore, that's how we get around that one. We don't actually have to provide parking anymore. I would leave that up to you guys if you're objective on it and requiring it for any reason, but no, typically you don't want to see parking in front of the buildings either. So, but that's the reason why we didn't do the parking there. But this is the existing building. As mentioned, we're going to fill in the carport here. We'll tear down the partial of the storage walls to make our master bedroom. And then go to this one first. So again, it's just a quick little wall here, make it a master bedroom, AC, and then it'll have a bathroom in the back corner of it. The existing bedrooms right now is 3 counts. So this will become a 4-bedroom. We will have 2 windows that will add on to I believe this is the east side. Get my bearings again.
North side.
That's the north side. Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll go on the north side. So again, here's the 2 windows. Pitch roof stays exactly as is. We'll just fill it in as needed. So it'll just look like it was always part of it with the matching style. Of course, the brick, it's usually hard to get to match. So eventually we'll have to do some power washing to make it match as close as we can to the existing structure. But if I go to the existing structure, I have some pictures here. I kind of show you what it looks like. Maybe there from the front, actually. Yeah, here's the existing home. So this is the street side. There's the front. That's the carport that we're looking to infill. So as you can see, we'll be putting that part. Now, one of the questions was getting a better picture here. Honestly, there's just too much vegetation. So it's really hard to see what is going on right there with all the vegetation. So if we wanted a different picture, I probably can get you one after they start construction. But it's too heavily vegetated right there to get it. You see there's trees right up against the edge. This is close to there. But that's the existing brick. We'll be looking to match 2 windows on the side like they have originally. And that's the first portion of the project. And then as mentioned, there's 2 parts to this. So the second part would be the proposed ADU in the back. So again, the proposed ADU in the back, so we're maintaining the setbacks of 5 feet. Get me zoom in a little bit better here. So we have 5-foot setback, which that's the new ADU allowance. And then we have 10-foot to this property line, which is the side street setback requirements, and 12-foot to this one. And then the back is a good distance, 21 feet. The ADA access path will be from the north side, and then we'll just swing it to the east to catch the driveway over here. So proposed access will actually be over off of what street is that? 4th? Yeah, 4th is the proposed access to get to this building. We'll still maintain the existing door, the wall, and the existing gate. So this will be fully enclosed inside the existing property. And then the proposed building is a 2-bedroom small stucco home as mentioned. So that we have this is the north facing side, remember. And I got the kind of upside down, but it calls it out here. This is north side. And then we'll have the French doors, windows on the side, windows here. I believe they're all, what kind of windows do we do on these ones? Single hungs? Yeah, we got single hungs and casements is what the windows are. It's the only styles we propose, single hung and casement. And then go to my AD right here. So here's the ADU. So the front is a single pane glass. And so I know you guys like to see those multi-panels. So if we enforce that, I'm okay with that if we have to. But you got the single hung windows here, single windows here. And then top of wall was at 8 feet. And I should mention it pitches up to 11.6. It's still shorter than the existing main. I believe the existing main was like 12.2 or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but and then
quite a bit taller than that.
is it? Oh yeah, because you got the high portion of the other one. That's right. Yeah, I remember.
Clear story.
Yeah. And then let's go to those pictures again. So I wanted to show you how much you really see in the back. It's not a lot because we got it enclosed. So if we go to the existing house right there, says the main set. That was what I was talking about. That goes up to like 12 feet right here, and that goes a little bit taller, yeah. And then we're gonna be putting it over here in this corner. So again, this is the gate that will be in front of the proposed ADU. And the proposed ADU is stucco, but in that zone, you guys have all over the place from stucco and brick facade. So let me go to that. Some similars. There we go. So the home to the north is brick, but this guy to the east is stucco. This guy across the street east is stucco. And then this was a wonky building, but it's right at the corner. So I just showed it to you guys, something that's real tiny. I don't even know if it's being used, but that's all stucco too. So, and then they got another one across the street, all stucco. So in the end, we're just trying to maintain the stucco with the pitch roof look is what we're going for. But we still kept the single hung windows like these guys do. And then the casements. So,
The ones on the south side of 19th Street don't count because they're in a different district.
makes sense. Yep.
You're right at the edge of the development zone or the reservation zone.
Okay. But I mean, that's it. So now I'll leave it up into the discussions. What kind of questions you got for me?
Okay, I've got a bunch, but let's open it up to the board. Who wants to go first? Stan?
Yeah, I have several questions. When you look at the site plan as you got it shown here, you show that the proposed carport conversion, the west elevation is extending beyond the edge of the house, but yet on your new plan, you're showing it aligns with the edge of that house on the west side. You're saying that there's an existing wall that aligns. Now, I don't know if that site plan is showing the roof overhang or if it's showing the building line.
No, you actually caught an error that I didn't even notice. I mean, on the floor plan, it aligns exactly what we're doing. What happened is I could see right away, you pointed it out. It's somehow that the poche that's doing the carport enclosure got moved over. You see, it's not
Right.
aligned. This distance matches that distance, which is
Okay.
incorrect. Yeah, no, the floor plan is correct, 100%.
Okay, go back up to go back up, go down. Hold it, no, down one more. Down, no, up, go up. I'm sorry, go up. Okay, stop.
Want to see the
Okay.
existing?
Yeah, right there. You're showing that existing shed. Are those two walls that you're not demoing? Are those existing brick walls?
Let's look and see if we can tell in the picture. I don't recall. I think
They're
it
not.
might be.
They're wood. It's a storage under a carport, as was typical of the mid-century design of the ranch.
Exactly. I'd say typically it's always wood P111.
And it's actually smaller. It's kind of offset to a corner so you can walk through. You can see it from the street.
Okay, well then, go back to that plan that we were looking at where.
But they're probably going to demolish all of it, essentially, the little storage.
Well, I don't know how you can do it without that because you're showing keeping that existing wall.
It's not brick.
It's not brick.
It's not
Okay. Is the existing house solid brick or is it a veneer brick?
solid brick, as is the Arizona room that was added in 1973. And just for
Okay.
reference, this house and the house to the north at 840 were both, I looked up our property record cards, and we have older versions. They were both built in 1950. This one did not get onto the city records until 1973 when the Arizona room was added on, and you can see the add-on line directly on the south facade of the building.
Okay.
And it is officially contributing non-historic due to age.
Okay. Well, you had mentioned that you were getting, you say you're getting, your detail shows a veneer brick. Your details actually show a veneer stone. So I think you need to change that to a veneer brick, number one. Number two, do you have any idea whether or not you can find a brick that's going to match the color of the existing brick? Because you said you were going to try to water blast it to match the color, which I don't think is going to work.
Yeah, I mean, it's always tough. It's you never know for sure till you have it up in there and you do what you got to do to it. I mean, usually you can
Well,
get pretty close though.
have you investigated that at all to find out whether or not you can find something that's close to the existing brick color?
Yeah, I mean, it's a typical color. It's definitely not one that's out of the ordinary.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is that maybe just a simple recommendation is that rather than, especially on that on the east elevation, which is the street side elevation, maybe it would be better for you to offset that new wall to the master bedroom, drop it in like 6 inches so it doesn't align with the existing brick. I think it would be less noticeable if you've got a color variation in there. It would be, I think, maybe helpful to visually make the front elevation a little bit more pleasing. Because I think if you've got another brick veneer on there that doesn't match the color of the existing veneer and it's a flush condition, I think it's going to be quite noticeable and stand out and not be as attractive as I think you might want it to be.
I had a little thought about that too, because the description says it's a 4-inch brick, which means it's a solid brick veneer onto the house, but the specs down below show it as a Z brick added on over a scree line, and it's kind of odd. So
Yeah, it's like full rock. I mean, it's a full brick. It's
I think
just a
the
veneer brick.
details are
And here,
It's only like a quarter of an inch thick. I mean, I've seen it used before, but I just don't think you're going to find anything that matches to it. And you are showing on the west elevation. Go up there one little bit more. Yeah, you show. Um,
it shows part of the wall is brick, and
yeah,
it's not. It's
yeah.
wood.
You got existing wall is brick, and it's not. So you may be demoing that whole thing. The other question I had is I thought you said that you were putting on vinyl clad windows. Was that correct?
wood with vinyl clad, yeah.
Vinyl clad on what? On the new
The wood
addition?
windows. Yeah, everywhere. Yeah, any windows are gonna be the Pella wood lifestyles wood windows.
Well, are they wood windows with vinyl cladding?
Actually, I'm sorry, aluminum clad. I don't know the vinyl. They're Pella lifestyles or wood windows with aluminum clad.
Your original proposal, this is what you were talking about with the continuation. You originally presented vinyl windows, and the city said, no, you can't. And so now they're wood, metal clad, but
Yeah.
your specs on this proposal don't show that.
Right here it says Pella lifestyle wood windows with aluminum clad.
Yeah, I saw that too. That's why I'm asking. I thought you said vinyl clad in your
It
presentation.
might have been in the old verbiage, yeah, and that. So on the actual plans, it's called out correctly.
Okay, so on the new structure, you're going to have vinyl. You're going to have aluminum clad, and on the on the addition to the existing house, you're going to have aluminum clad.
Right, and then the color will be actually a brick red, is what they're gonna do. So it gives it a little bit of flair.
Is that the color of the existing windows?
The aluminum clad, yeah, it'll be a brick red.
I mean, the existing windows on the existing house are a red color.
No, they're actually, believe it or not, aluminum sliders,
Well,
because it's consistent with the age of the house. It's the It's just the grills that are painted.
Okay, so those look like aluminum sliders, aren't they?
They are. The original house has aluminum sliders and a casement picture window in the front.
All right, so you're putting on single hung wood aluminum clad windows.
On the north, yes, on the historic or the contributing non-historic house.
Okay. All right. And then it sounds like in your, I think on your notes, it said that you had a fiberglass French door on the ADU.
Let's go back to that one.
That's what it specifies.
All right, John, did you say earlier that the fiberglass on the ADU is acceptable?
We have, well, the board in general over the years have approved in specific cases for non-contributing buildings some fiberglass elements, although it comes with experience in a caveat. I do not know a case of fiberglass in Armory Park that did not have to be reconditioned after 5 years. They don't hold up here, and they are prohibited by the code, but we are allowed to make a distinction for a non-contributing resource.
It would be noted, this one's on the north side under a porch. So it's on the side that nobody visually sees, and it's actually under a porch, so it won't be beating up half as much because of the location with the
Well, I
exposure.
think that's the advantage you have. Otherwise, I would say no, I don't like it, but I think maybe there's an argument there. And then my final question is that existing wood gate that's on the north property line wall.
You mean
That's
south property wall? That one.
yeah, I mean it's in pretty bad shape, and you're saying it's existing. Are you doing anything to kind of improve that?
We haven't recommended it at any time.
It would be
I
nice.
talked
I mean,
with the owner for some reason we need to.
I would like to make a recommendation that you guys, replace that with something a little bit nicer. That, you're spending a lot of money on the build out. I mean, I don't know that would be an expensive item to upgrade.
Are you keeping the chain link fence too, even though all the gates have been blown off of it?
Again, that hasn't been discussed with me, the owner. So at this time, I would say we're keeping it.
Okay, Jan, I think you were next. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I agree with Stan that if the infill addition is approved, I think an offset would help, not only if there's a material change, but to also distinguish it and show that it's not contemporaneous with the original building. I also had a question, and others may have have thoughts about this, but on the east side, that's an awful long blank facade on the front of a residence, and I just kind of wondered about a window in that location to break up that long brick facade. And then in terms of the ADU, there may be allowances now under the new provisions, so I apologize if I'm not up to speed, but I guess I'm disappointed to see this second structure with its back to the street. It just seems like it would present a lot friendlier to the neighborhood and be incorporated into the neighborhood if the front were oriented to the south. And if in fact you're not going to have parking on site, that a car gate was replaced with a pedestrian gate to the front of the house. And it would make it actually a lot more accessible for ADU as well. It would be a shorter route to the front if it were just flipped that way. So I'm not sure why it's positioned on the site that way. If there are code requirements I'm not aware of, but it just seems rather odd actually in an urban environment to have it back to the street like that. Thanks.
And there's no code requirements that I'm aware of. It was strictly just a request that the owner that they want to be able to access the porch with the yard on this side over here in the corner. So it's a way private That's all it was based on.
I mean, conversely, with the access on the other side, you could have a whole private back area, shared back area too. That's it. Thank you.
Steve,
I have a question about the setbacks, the prevailing setbacks. So I'm looking at the NPZ2 development zone, which has the red kind of marker around those houses. And so I do have a question. Are non-contributing, I mean, structures outside the district, are they traditionally included in the development zone?
no, um, they are excluded. Anything that's not in the development zone. So it's basically the full street frontage of contributing structures for the block, and across the street for contributing structures because the address is on 4th Avenue. And the new building will, if it's addressed theoretically on 19th as the plans suggest, it's corner house. So it's 4th and both sides of 4th and both sides of 19th.
So both sides of 19th get to
No,
be,
north side of 19th, excuse me.
okay. So the reason I'm asking is that I'm looking at the setback of the ADU of 10 feet, and the 10 feet will definitely meet the code requirement, but it doesn't meet the prevailing setback. It appears to be closer to 19th Avenue or to the street than any of the across the street. There's one that's closer, that's within the red area on the far west side, but I don't see anything that close to 19th Street on within the prevailing within development zone. And so I was hoping maybe Desiree might help me understand the full development zone and if there is something which has a similar setback to the property line.
I would check, but I mean, right away, this right here looks like that's 10 feet. This right here looks like that's 10 feet.
Well,
Here.
I would say no because the it is closer to the street than the parcel, the property that you have. And so what I'm looking for something is it's only a little bit closer to 19th than the house itself, but it is a little closer to 19th than the primary structure on that lot. And the primary structure on the lot appears to me to be closer, the closest of that row of houses. And so I was hoping to do is to get a sense if the development zone, if we can find something that is that 10 feet. And so I was hoping Desiree might be able to help us understand the development zone here.
It's also complicated because they're suggesting that 19th Street will be the address for the ADU.
Correct. So,
Yeah, I
but-
can, it might take me a couple minutes just to look, have too many screens up, but I am looking at Map Tucson. Just give me a second.
Would Tucson, if that's the address street, would it not consider that the front then?
Yes. Because it will be a separate dwelling, an additional dwelling unit,
Yeah.
not an accessory structure,
Right.
which means its access should be from 19th Street rather
Correct.
than all the way around the property.
Yep, I was gonna show you Tucson, so here's the parcel in question.
We kind of lost you.
Yeah, I can't hear you, Desiree.
Okay, sorry about that. Can you hear me okay
Yeah.
now?
Yes.
And while we're looking at this map, because it doesn't have the lot lines right, because this property and the additional 15 feet to the west are actually 6 feet into the lot to the north. It's actually a 72-foot wide lot rather than a 66-foot wide lot. And while we're on this page, Alex, I have a question. the block wall that you've got, does it actually enclose the additional 15 feet that are now owned by you? Or do you have to blow out the western end of the wall and add 15 feet and replace the wall?
No, the wall goes all the way to the exterior. You don't have to blow it any wall. Yeah,
So
the wall that's separated maybe.
all 103 feet are within that wall?
Yeah, yeah. I'm looking at it on the aerial right now. I can see it.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
thank you. Well, Desiree's looking, Maurice, I think you're next.
Yeah, I have a question here. You mentioned that there's going to be some stucco on the structure.
Correct.
That's for the
Okay.
ADU.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you also mentioned that you showed some picture of contributing structures that have stucco on it, and like John was saying a little earlier, they happen to be across the street, which is a different district. Okay.
There's
Did
some
you
on Fourth
actually?
Avenue. There are some on Fourth Avenue, Maurice.
They are on the Armory Park side.
Yeah, there's several of them.
Yeah, there's several.
Okay.
There's stucco's extant in the development. So
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Steve, I think you had your hand raised a moment ago.
I did. It was specifically to ask about the setback, the prevailing setback, and how extensive the development zone is. That might give us an opportunity to find something that is that 10 feet. Desiree's looking for something, but it looks to be closer to the property line than the main structure, than the residence, than the primary structure on the lot.
Yeah, there's all sorts of
Would be
different.
correct.
It is, and it is.
I mean,
kind of-
if it satisfies the board, I don't object to just rotating the building and then shifting the whole thing north and to gain the setback that we had proposed anyways. I mean, I don't know what the true purpose of the actual client was, but as representative, I can make that decision, and I would be okay just rotating it if this pleases the board. That way we just because you brought up a good point. As soon as the address does get situated, that it's off of 19th, it's going to be kind of wonky and confusing for anybody. So automatically, if we do have the front facing, however, the only objection would be, are you guys going to force anything different with the door at that time, or can we still maintain the fiberglass door facing south?
Okay, I've got a couple quick questions because I'm looking at the site plan again too. I think the access would be better from 19th, and you might not
Agreed.
need to put in a personal gate. I think it'd be great if you flip the whole building. We can have more discussion about the appropriate nature of the fiberglass door. But on your site plan, it shows a moved driveway, and you have a driveway apron, and the driveway is directly in front of what you're proposing as the master bedroom. And I don't think you're tearing that out and putting in a new driveway to the north to accommodate that access route anyway, which you couldn't get into with the curb cut that has access to your lot and your fence.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, it looks like it's shifted over somehow.
So, okay. The site plan's a little bit wonky here. And yeah, it is an HPZ, not an NPZ. So the standards are a little bit different.
Ruth, stop.
Pardon?
Oh, sorry. Yelling at my dog.
Yeah, let me look at. I think, yeah, the site plan needs to be totally revised and to show where the walls are and where the access gate is, and to flip the building around. I think that would be whatever. And I tend to agree with a couple board members that if you are using solid brick, but it doesn't match, and there may be resources. I don't know if it's still there. Empire brick on Oracle used to have all sorts of old brick that you might be able to get a pretty comparable color for. If you can match it, it's one thing, but if it's going to be a blank face because of your design, it probably should be pushed back a few inches under the existing roof line. And I also have a question then too of why double hung windows on the north would be appropriate for that style of house being built in 1950 as a contributing non-historic mid-century modern ranch that has basically sliders or casements on it. So the window type, since they're 4x4 square, you might want to flip them sideways so that they're actually two vertical panels. That would
I
be
would
more,
actually like it. Yeah, typical. You guys request the single ones. That's why I went with those. But definitely sliders are the better route to go for sure.
we
We're
try
okay
to,
with that.
or even casements would be more appropriate. We cannot approve sliders. We can approve side by side windows. And just so you know, we cannot approve vinyl or aluminum sliders, but we can do clad wood sliders. Well, casements that match the overall proportion of the existing windows on the house.
I don't know if I understand that, John. Are you saying that the two windows that he has on the north side would then have to be wood-clad casement or wood-clad sliders?
Wood, we can approve sliders per the code. We could do side-by-side casements, or if they can find appropriate metal windows that are casements that open out, that is a steel frame or something that's more appropriate for both the house and what's available. But we're also limited by the code because we're not used to reviewing 1950s ranch houses.
Yeah, this is really a strange combination here.
It's also odd because that style of house, just like the house to the north that was built at the same time, the only difference being that one has a pyramidal hip roof and the other one has a low gable, is
Yeah.
they both have that character defining feature of a carport with a shed at the back, which was part of the character defining features of a mid-century modern house of that size and scale at the time it was built. So it's a little weird to close it in. So it really probably should be modified to some degree, in my humble opinion, so that it's obvious that this was a carport that got filled in, because modern life demands that sort of things and it's done appropriately. It's kind of an odd situation on it. Another thing, you are really going to have to revise almost all the specs because they do still show aluminum sliders. They show Z-brick instead of solid brick construction. And there's a whole bunch of differences in your application between what you're saying you're going to do and then what's presented of actually being built. So, is this a situation where you could flip the building and maybe adjust the slightly more appropriate carport infill and come back to us so that you can get a full approval of this board? Because the ADU's,
I don't have no
ADU's
objection.
okay. I mean, it's a lot of conditions, but it's going to be a lot of stuff to go to PRS and have to explain all of these same concerns again to.
Okay.
Other board members, thoughts, comments?
Yes, I have one. If we are rotating the ADU 180 degrees, I think that we need to address the existing the big hinge door, probably modifying that and making it a single man door, or are we going to keep it open and set the house back farther so we have a driveway?
There really isn't room for a driveway there unless the setback to the west is entirely reduced because it's only 6 feet between.
Okay, well then that
But
gate
they
should be
could, for
changed.
instance, put in an open metal gate so you could see the front of the house that happens to just have a person gate into it where the wood gates are currently.
Okay, something like that, yeah.
Something like that would be an option, a type of option that they could pursue. We're not allowed to tell you how to design the building, Alex.
No, I hear you. I know what you guys are looking for. I gotcha.
So we're just trying to help you make a better plan so that the review process will go a lot smoother for you. Is that a time frame that you can work with? to come back in June with a
Yeah.
revised?
That's
Okay.
fine. We'll make those adjustments and can speak again.
Okay. All right, so we're looking for a motion that says make the windows on the existing house more appropriate and address the infill nature by doing slight design changes to under the carport that's going to now have a blank wall and will probably have a slightly different brick to it. And it should state clearly that it's solid brick. And let's see what else. And that the ADU is going to be rotated. The access gate's going to be done, and the site plan is going to be revised. That sort of thing. Anyone want to make a motion?
Can I say so moved?
I'm not supposed to. I suppose I can. Does that sound about right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. How much of that did you get, Desiree, as quandary, since it wasn't stated as a motion?
So I have windows on existing house to be more appropriate.
To the style and age of the house. Carport.
The carport infill
should be set back or altered to reflect the nature of the infill and that it's not original to the design of the house.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
That
and then the ADU will be rotated.
rotated,
And then,
yep. And that the wooden gates that will provide the access for that dwelling unit will be a revised plan for the wood gates.
like an update to the wood gates?
Pardon?
Or like are you all recommending new wood gates?
Not necessarily new wood gates, because it's going to be the front of a house now. They need to come up with a different design strategy
For person access, probably.
for person access to the new ADU from 19th Street. And to revise the site plan to show the existing driveway where it is, modifications to access routes and setbacks and any other alterations to the site. And I heard some comments. Are you planning on planting any trees? I think you're supposed to have one for an ADU. Are you going to put one in the backyard?
Yeah, no, because this one actually has 4 existing. So the landscape plan shown on the site plan, and but basically the new code is just 1 tree per 1,000 square feet, but you can use any existing trees. And right now there's like 4 existing trees on the lot, so we actually exceed what's required. But we will add a ground cover area, and that's shown on the southeast corner of the lot, because it has to go on the actual street front location.
Since you don't actually have a curb cut for that wooden gate, if you turn it into a person gate, you won't have to go to the added expense of getting a DTM right-of-way proposal too for a new driveway apron.
Okay.
So
Steve's chomping at the bit.
I'm sure he is. Desiree, do you have all that?
I
The actual parts
believe
of the
so,
motion?
yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Should you read it back or do it? No, we need to have a second. Anyone?
Second.
Second,
I think Stan was first.
Yes.
Okay. Any other comments?
Can I just ask for clarification? So is that
Sure.
McClement who made the motion?
Sure,
Who
I'll
made the motion?
put my
Yes.
Okay. So McClement's motion to continue the item with the following recommendations: the windows, the infill carport ADU access gate, and the site plan revisions.
There were a couple things John mentioned that didn't get in that, the solid brick and the EDU flipped.
Those are
Right, EDU will be
suggestions.
rotated.
Yeah, ADU
Mhm.
needs to be rotated.
And then solid brick.
Yeah, and if you could spring for clad wood French doors, you'd fly through review.
Got it.
We're only one of them, but we can't tell you that. Even the code says you should not do this. And the city told you shouldn't do this, but the owner's still doing this, so. Okay, so
Steve.
great, motion, anything else, or can we call the question for the motion to continue for those following changes?
I have something that I think you may want to add to the motion, and that is about this prevailing setback not to be greater than the setback for the residents to 19th Street.
Does the motioner agree to that, Martha?
Absolutely.
Great. And the seconder was Stan?
Yes, agreed.
Okay, great. That okay, Desiree?
Good.
Great. All right, we'll call the motion. Steve?
Aye.
Martha?
Yes.
Jan?
Aye.
Maurice?
Aye.
Stan?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Great. We'll see you next month. Hopefully it'll be easier. And take a look through all your, like, the little drawings down below, and anything that says aluminum slider windows and wall thicknesses and all sorts of other stuff that's no longer really applicable. Just take them off.
I know what you guys talking about. It's the architectural details. They're typical standards, and so I know exactly where it is. I need to edit. You guys caught, so I'll get on it.
Okay.
All right,
Hopefully,
thanks, guys.
hopefully we were helpful. But we'll see you
We'll get
next
it there.
month.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Moving on. Hey, Bob just blinked out. Nope, Bob just came on. Okay, item 4C, SD 0526-00071- TC residential 0426 0172 330 South 3rd Avenue, parcel number 117062770. Desiree, do you want to cover staff's report?
Yes. So this is the address 330 South 3rd Avenue. Bob Lanning is the applicant who's here today to present. The project is demolition of a garage, new construction, carport, and ADU. So the proposed project is to demolish a contributing garage at the rear and construct a new 2-bay carport and an ADU totaling 440 square feet behind the main contributing single-family residence. The carport will have a 5-foot north side setback, and the ADU will have an 8-foot 4-inch south side setback. The carport and ADU will be connected by an open breezeway that is 8 foot wide. Both would be clad in light sand stucco finish, and the roof material would be corrugated steel. A west courtyard wall will be constructed in front of the ADU, made of breeze block situated between 4 stuccoed finished square columns. A section of the rear west fence will replace the existing chain link fence with corrugated steel to match the remaining west fence enclosure. The subject property is a contributing English colonial revival residence built circa 1899 and a contributing garage built circa 1919. Let's see. Historic preservation staff find that the proposed work will conform with applicable preservation standards. Let's go through. Landscaping was deemed not applicable. And that's it for me. So I will hand it over to Mr. Lanning.
Welcome back, Bob.
Hello, good to see you all. And I'm here with Stephen Curti in my office. Stephen's been with me for 11 or 12 years now, so he knows more than I do actually at this point. But so we're getting ready to share the screen. Can we start here? The first question right off the bat is we've got 2 packages, one for the demolition and one for the new construction. And the reason we've done that is because it was suggested to us that because that existing structure is technically contributing, that we needed to go through that process. So we have that existing structure completely documented, and it's all in here. Should we do that first, or? What should we do first?
However you want.
Okay.
You know, let me try this one more time. Usually we can share an entire screen, but I'm not seeing that as an option. Is this the one I want to share?
Yeah, that's the demo right there.
Okay.
Okay, so so anyway, so our property is located at 330 South Third Avenue, which is between 13th and 14th. And here's the development zone, you can see it goes actually for a block in each direction. That's because we read where the development zone is actually when you're on a park on the edge of Armory Park, like we are here, because we're butting up against Armory Park Del Sol, that the development zone actually goes another block in each direction. So that's what we've got identified here in the development
Sorry
zone.
to interrupt, but can you all see a screen? I'm not seeing anything.
I'm
I
not
don't
seeing
see
anything.
anything.
Oh, no.
It's blank.
Okay, let's stop sharing again. Okay. Can you see this now?
No, here we go. Now we do.
And can you see this now? It says the demolition of historic older
Mhm.
structures. Okay, got it. All right, so now we
It's gonna
can.
take a second for my computer to load. There we go. Oh, there's an error. Okay.
Do you want to start with this, Bob?
Yeah.
Why is it? What images are not? Oh. Yes, we'll start here then.
Okay, here's an existing site plan. So the existing principal structure is on the right-hand side there, fronting on South Third Avenue. And it is an 1899 structure, but this project has nothing to do whatsoever with that. What we're looking at is towards the rear of the parcel, which now the cursor is towards, which there's an existing accessory structure, which was originally built in as an open garage in 1919. And then in 1993, it was converted into a residence, a small residence, and a carport was added. That carport to the left or the west was added. And our client, this is complete. It's kind of amazing that it's contributing, because maybe in the 90s it was, but has fallen on rough times. And when you see the photographs, you'll agree that the best thing to do, in our opinion, is to remove it and replace it with what we're proposing in this project. So here's the existing structure floor plan. And
for some reason, the photos are just, you guys have you guys, did you receive the images before this meeting?
Yeah, and I've got them up on my other computer, but
Yeah, for some
Sometimes
reason
we do have challenges with these. I'm not sure if the photos came through on our end.
I
okay,
downloaded the package. I've got the photos.
yeah, I hate to ask, but would you mind? I mean,
I can see them on the city's webpage.
yeah, do you want to share them for the group, or should we just go on to what we're proposing?
Yeah, we can show the photos. So if I download, maybe it'll work.
I looked through the property record cards. The house could have been constructed by 1896 and may even be slightly earlier. And the garage was first showed up on a Sanborn map in 1919, but the age is not known. But it's been modified heavily over the years. and it
Okay.
does look pretty rough.
And as
Sorry, are they
as
down here?
Yeah, thank you, Desiree.
as a note for history, I noticed that there's somebody called Steve Grady who was a surveyor uh, on that house back in 1994. Was that
Yeah.
you, Steve? That's what I thought.
Yeah, I'm not a surveyor.
You did the property record cards.
That I did.
So there's the structure right there, the existing structure. You can see the shape that it's in.
Yeah. It's a simple shed roof, and then you can see the carport that was coming off of it.
It's corrugated steel. It's in bad shape. Yeah.
So I think one of the questions for the board is, opinion on whether it is in fact contributing or not. Because something can start contributing, but alterations are made over time and then it's no longer contributing. That's input that we would like, because that changes the process, right? If it's a contributing building in HPZ, to approve demolition, that requires mayor and council approval, right? Versus if it's non-contributing, that's a PDSD director approval. So it makes a very big difference actually, and it's something. It's part of the process, right? We come to the Historic Zone Advisory Board as well as PRS to get input on whether this is still
I wish
contributing
the
or
owners
not.
were here because they've had the property since like '86, and from the floor plan, it looks like it was probably like a chauffeur bedroom and a single port garage originally. Steve, did you ever have a chance to see it before it got enclosed?
I don't remember, to tell you the truth. Probably, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
1993.
But I would like to say that there are two aspects to there's integrity and condition. Integrity is um, how much of the original fabric is intact and how little changed it is, and condition would be how likely it is to fall down. It's how well it's been maintained over the years, and so I think we need to not confuse the two in our discussion.
It looks like it's completely rotted if it has most of its historic fabric left. And it's hard to know the configuration with no photos of what it looked like as an open garage.
So, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have my hand up. Actually, I do. If I may say, changes to the structure, additions, modifications, penetrations through what may not have been historically an opening affects its integrity.
Yeah. Stan.
Yes, I think if I remember the original submittal, the map that was originally shown, it showed the detached rear accessory building being smaller than what it is today. So that obviously has been modified. So the original structure, I don't know what the date of the original structure is and when the date was the modification was. Do we have any information on that at all?
I think we know that a garage was built by 1919, and whether it was a one port or a two port, I don't know if we know. By 93, it had already been modified to this guest house when the property record card was made. You have the institutional memory of Armory Park FF74.
Yeah, no, I don't specifically remember this piece of property individually, but it appears to me that structurally it's in poor condition, and that I don't know that I would have any objection to the demolition of it. And I think if we can come to that decision, then I think we can go on to review the second part of the submittal.
I tend to agree. Maurice, you've got your hand raised?
Yes, I like old buildings. So when somebody, talks about tearing down an old building, my heart bleeds. Okay. On the other hand, I know that, the owner of the property has been a pioneer in maintaining the
This is the other one.
the
Yeah.
the what do you call it, the spirit of Armory Park and everything that they have built in the past few decades. So I know that, whatever's going to come up is going to be something really nice because that's what they do. Okay. I feel very mixed up because, again, this is a beautiful building. Is there a way maybe to bring it back to some form of integrity so that it could be used? Would be, a wish. Okay. Not necessarily a realistic wish, but just a wish. But again, like I say, the owners of the property have been doing the right thing for the longest time. Okay, so I really trust them. I'm just wondering before we decide on, whether to approve the demolition of this building, maybe can we get a quick rundown of what's going to come up instead of it, so we feel better about it? Okay, I think I would like that. Okay, so that would make it easier to decide. Yes, let's tear it down because what's coming up is going to be really nice, or whatever. That's my feeling.
Okay, I think Steve was next, then Martha, then Stan. So Steve?
So I think that demolition really needs to stand alone and not be predicated on plans for a different project. We understand the necessity, but it's that I think it needs to stand alone. I'm looking at the structure, and the first thing one does is look at the character defining features. Certainly the carport and the addition to the structure to me appear to be non-contributing and potentially a intrusion on the structure. The structure itself is, I noticed that there was a fascia added, that there are changes to the original garage structure, including the enclosing aspect of it and such. And I believe that there could be a case made for a loss of integrity through these changes. But one has to take a look when the assessment was made in 1994. You have to take a look at that and then make that assessment according to that. And so accordingly. And I believe a case can be made that the modifications to the structure would are may render it a non-contributing structure, but I would like to hear from other members of the board.
Martha, you were next.
As the person probably the least experienced on this board, who may end up with a property that has something as bad as this on it, please, let's make a motion to demolish this and move on so we can hear the presentation. This, it's had a good long life, but nothing lasts forever. I realize historic preservation is the title of the game here. But if it were mine, I'd be begging you, please let me move on to the next thing. Thank you.
Dan?
I think the only thing that I would like to add to this is that I think in looking at the photograph that's on the screen right now, we've got what appears to be as a rectangular section with a single sloped roof on it, with an eave that overhangs both the front and the back and maybe the sides. And I think that that's what we've got on the new addition, although I understand what Steve is saying, that we can't look at what's being replaced in order to make a judgment about the demolition of this project. But I think the character of the original structure then maybe can be argued as being used in the new design. And, whether or not that's something that we can say as a compliment to what was there, I don't know, but I think that there's something that could be said about that. And that would be the only comment I would make further. I do think the structure is in rather poor condition, and that a justification for demolition is, in my view, is justified.
Jan.
Do you say Jan?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of agree with the somewhat carefully worded statement that a case can be made that the structure has sufficiently lost integrity and to enough so to justify demolition. And it's unfortunate, but I also think it's realistic.
Steve, you had your hand raised.
I do. So we had a motion without a second, but I believe that Jan's motion would be an appropriate motion for a demolition, which is a major consideration for a historic district rather than something that would discuss its condition and integrity.
Jan, you
And
want to
if I
rephrase
can,
that and make a
just
motion?
make a friendly suggestion. To clarify in your motion, are you saying that the building is no longer contributing? That's really key. We need to know if you all think it's contributing or not.
Because of the loss of integrity
And condition.
and condition.
Martha,
I mean,
do
technically,
you agree? Because you made the motion initially, so I want to follow.
yeah. I mean, technically, they could call the building inspector and ask for an emergency demolition as well, because it looks like termites holding hands are holding it up.
So Martha, you were muted when you were talking.
Or
Right, that I agree with added to the make it sound like I know what I'm talking about. It's a great motion, Jan. Thank you.
And I apologize, Martha. I didn't realize that that was a motion when you spoke, so my apologies.
Said the word motion. I don't think I was making one, but now it's been made, so let's carry
Can you
move on.
I second.
whoever's making the motion, can you just repeat it so I can write it down? Clear.
What was that, Desiree?
Would you mind repeating the motion so I can take notes?
Now you're putting me on the spot. I move that we say that the structure is no longer contributing due to the condition and what's the other word, guys?
Loss of integrity.
That. And then we go ahead and approve the demolition. Anything else, guys?
are we all set? Any more questions, or can we call that specific question so we can get on to the replacement plan?
Please.
Okay. Steve.
Aye.
Martha.
Aye.
Jan.
Aye.
Maurice.
Aye.
Stan.
Aye.
Lynn.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion passes. Great.
Get on to
All
the
right. And Desiree can pull the screen back up for
Yeah,
Bob to explain his project.
yeah, you guys can see our screen right now, right?
Yep.
I'm seeing black space.
Oh, no.
No, we see it.
I can see the photos.
I see it.
There we go.
Okay, good. Phew. Yeah, so these are contributing properties in our development zone. But for the sake of time, this is
the existing principal structure. And then here's the aerial photo. And Stephen just circled where the subject is of what we're looking at next. So So,
You're basically just taking out the fence, but keeping all the trees and putting it basically in the same location.
right.
Okay.
But it runs a little bit more to the north-south because it's a longer rectangle in the north-south direction. So this new structure. Okay, so here's the new structure, which I do want to remind everybody that it's 33 feet 10 inches off of that rear fence line, and actually 53 feet feet off of railroad. So it's pretty much mid property. But anyway, there is a vehicular gate back there, so you drive in that and you park in the new carport, which is towards the north, which is basically right. You can see the dotted in lines for the building that we're proposing to replace. And so it's a new 2-car carport. And then to the south of that is a breezeway. And then to the south of that is a new accessory structure. And Richard is going to use it. Richard Steen the owner is going to use it as a studio, mostly a workshop and an office. And I think occasionally guests, but not often.
Is the fiberglass over the central area so that he's got some place for his potting shed?
You bet. That's a good guess, and that's exactly right. So here we have the big rectangle. The roof is a rectangle, and the shed roof pitches to the west, which is actually, it's almost as if we inverted that existing structure because it pitches to the east, and this shed roof pitches to the west. So, but it's a long shed roof with corrugated on the roof, concrete block around the carport areas, concrete block on these posts along the west elevation, holding up a big wood beam, and then the actual structure that's the office / workshop is stuccoed with a light sand. Well, the whole thing is light sand finish stucco. The windows would be clad wood windows.
Oh, yeah, aluminum. Oh, we didn't specify, but it would be aluminum clad with windows, and we can.
Most of the clad options available on the market today are.
Yeah.
Yep.
But if they're wood clad, is how we like to say it, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. And then the doors, I noticed we didn't specify them, but they should be wood or clad wood doors, and we can talk about that if you guys want to talk about that, but we'd go either way. And then Richard Steen had this idea of the breeze block, which we thought, oh, that's cool. And so we put that in there between those posts along there because he's trying to provide a little bit of privacy as he walks from the carport over, because they're going to have a small outdoor area on the south as well, although it's not very large. So he just wanted that was something that we came up with. And then actually you can see here how much this actually is seen from railroad, the west elevation with the fence is pretty much serving to well, that's what you see. So what else can we talk about? That's about it. The carport's 400 and some odd square feet, and this guest house or the workshop is another 400. That's the sum total of it right there, as far as what, I'd love to answer any questions, but.
Since it doesn't show on the floor plan, but it does on the elevation, what is the screening element above those closets?
Yeah, we didn't really,
Yeah.
it's some kind, he wanted breezes to be able to blow through the carport from that side. And he based it on a friend's breezeway up the street on Third. No, that one's on Fourth, but we never really talked about what it is. I would assume it's some kind of woven wire mesh, so, or steel screening.
We probably ought to get that clarified. So a metal mesh screen?
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a couple questions, but Stan's got his hand raised, so you go first.
Actually, that was one of my questions too. I didn't understand what that screen was and what's the border around it? What is that? Is that just a pop out on the stucco?
Oh, no, I would think it would be buried within that block wall. That's a block wall, and I would say it's some kind of a frame for holding the actual screen, you know? So it's I don't know if it's
Probably metal if it's metal
it
mesh.
probably be tube steel, but I don't know.
Well, I'd like to get that cleaned up. I mean, I'd like to have a sense of what that is. And then generally, I think it's a great solution for the site plan. I think it works really well. The only question I have is that screen wall, that breezeway wall. Your breeze block. Is there any complementary example of a screen of the breeze block anywhere in the neighborhood that you've seen? I mean, can we justify that particular screen breeze block with that particular layout?
I
Is there
wish I
anything in
could.
the neighborhood that you find that was a was a breezeway like that?
Yeah, I do not know that. Our client thought this would something that he would enjoy having. And we actually had the discussion that it's not necessarily got a precedent in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And he
Hey,
said, well, if that's the case and we need to eliminate it, then let's just eliminate it. And we'll do the whole thing out of block and stucco.
well, I I would disagree with that too, but I mean,
Or nothing, or nothing, or
I
just
like
leave
the
the
idea.
post, but
I
nothing.
like the idea.
Yeah,
I just don't know if that block is the appropriate block to use. Is there anything else that we could use? I mean, even almost metal, a louvered metal of some type might be uh, as interesting as that, and maybe could be argued that it's more compatible with the neighborhood. I don't know. What does everybody else feel? I guess that's my big question on the entire design. I think you answered the question about the doors and the windows, the other question that I had. So my only other question is the appropriateness of the breeze block.
There are a couple of examples of buildings in Armory Park that are non-contributing. They are
Hmm.
usually like hotel residences around a pool constructed in 1960. It used to be generally assumed that block was prohibited. I will say it was not generally available except on architectural houses until the 1950s, which is past the period of significance. And we have never approved breeze block specifically, but the current code does not say breeze block is prohibited, but it does say all concrete block must be stuccoed. So I'm not quite sure how you are going to stucco breeze block.
Yeah, we were not proposing to do that. And
So
yeah,
if that's going to be a requirement, I think we would suggest that we would eliminate it all.
Well,
yeah,
wait a minute. Take a step back, John. Are you saying it would be inappropriate to stucco breeze block? I mean, I don't know if I understand the intent of that section of the guidelines that you're saying that
it's the actual code.
any
All
masonry block has to be stuccoed?
all masonry block in all HPZs must be stuccoed by code.
Well, I
It's
mean,
both in TSM
it's a
9-02
ridiculous
and
statement
in
in the sense that
5.8.
breeze blocks would never be stuccoed.
I realize that, and I think that's why there's the general assumption of why they've never been used and that they're prohibitive, but they are not even specified because they post date the period of significance for the neighborhood, and there are no contributing structures with breeze block on them in the whole district, to my knowledge. And I've been in 80% of the buildings.
Well, I like the idea of the breeze blocks. I'll tell you that. But if it's a problem because of a code issue, then is there any other materials that you could think of, Bob, that we might be able to use that would still allow air movement through there and give some privacy?
Also, remember, it is a secondary accessory structure, an ADU, that is significantly on the interior lot, and the applicants could make an effort to, for instance, put corrugated fence up along the north fence so you couldn't see it in any manner from the street. And we have the ability for very specific materials changes for properties in the district based upon the specifics of the case. So it's an open question, and I think we had to discuss it. The another option is if they're going to do, metal screen frame by frames instead of doing this whole solid block, they could do something like that. Steve.
Let me ask. Go ahead, Steve. I got another one.
Steve, you're muted.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Stan, and then I'll jump in.
Okay. What if you used brick and used spaces in between the brick to allow kind of a breeze block? You create the breezeway with the spaces in the brick. You wouldn't have to stuck with the brick, would you?
Nope.
Nope.
You understand that, Bob?
Yeah, I do. So basically what we're saying is the code says concrete block as in CMU needs to be stuccoed, but brick not. Of course
Yeah,
not.
and then you put brick and you space it so you get, like 3-inch spaces in between each brick, and you create a screen wall with that.
You could also do that on the east side where your screen elements are just by doing vertical bricks.
Interesting. Okay, well, we can run all that.
I think would it be, if there's issues with the breeze block, the concrete breeze block, what if we eliminate it and then in the future, if the client wants to add an element like that, we could, I guess, do a separate application, have it be like a minor review or something. Because I think at this point, we probably don't want it to hold up our project. I assume you guys would want to see the brick pattern.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, a spaced out brick just functionally, if you're building it, I mean, bricks are a certain dimension and the space between them and a running open pattern can't be substantially different than like a standard design.
Yeah. If you guys are, if you can kind of visualize that and, make a motion based on that, then yeah, I think we could do that. We could be in support of that. Yeah.
Well, it would, it's a typical design that's used in Mexican architecture quite often, I think.
Yeah,
It sure is.
for sure. I can picture. Yeah.
It's not typical, but it's within the limits of the code as it exists currently. Steve, you had your hand raised.
I think that we have gone in a good direction, so I've lowered my hand.
The only other thing I'll toss out there, I mean, if we lowered it one more, eliminated one more row of breeze block so that it was literally lower than the corrugated steel fence along the street, would that, at that point, would you be okay with it if you literally couldn't, see it from the streetscape?
That's one of the site situations because that fence is set back, but it just kind of stands there floating in space. But the property to the north has a 6-foot chain link fence that you can see directly into the yard, and we'll see this structure all the way along Railroad Avenue. So if you wanted to like put corrugated along there so that absolutely none of it's visible, that would leave the board more options too, theoretically.
You're talking about, so there's a chain link fence along you said the north here?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know which owner owns it.
Yeah, we don't either.
Okay.
Your hand's up again, Steve.
And now I do have one. I think we have to be careful about what we approve because it becomes precedent setting. And we do need to continue. Visibility is a concern, but we do consider all four elevations of a structure. So I just wanted to clarify that.
It is.
Would an open running bond basically open space brick pattern technically be prohibited by code?
No.
Is there
code?
Anyone? I don't think so. It might even be more economical. I don't know.
I don't think so. I think it'd be more expensive. But it would be nice. I like this. I like the way the design laid out. The breezeway makes a lot of sense. I think it makes a lot of sense.
I could see why they would want some sort of permanent blockage there for privacy into the interior of the yard too. Lynn, questions?
A question about lowering the top of the breeze block. You would still need to stucco it to get it up to code, which is not doable. Am I correct in that?
You're right. It's not stuccoable.
So whether
Yeah, it's
it's
not.
visible or not, it's not stuccoable. I'm making up words, but y'all know what I mean. So
Yep.
that is a consideration to
Would be
consider.
ridiculous to stucco it.
So if
I
the
mean-
board made some sort of motion that the breeze block be replaced with open brick screening element and the fence on the east side were also done to approve the project as presented, would you all be happy in your applicants?
Yes.
No, I'm asking the applicants.
Oh, sorry. Yes, absolutely.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like you're on a time frame here, like
Yes.
before fees go up. And they tend to do good things, but those seemed like an appropriate response and everything else is covered. And I really appreciate that the documentation was such pre-presented. You do a great job as usual, Bob. So
Thank you very much. Yeah.
a board member, does someone want to make a motion along the lines of our discussion?
I'll make a motion.
I will. Okay, Stan, you make it.
I make a motion that the project be approved with the following conditions: that the breeze block, the masonry breeze block be replaced with an appropriate material approved by the board, and that the doors and windows be wood clad, and that the breezeway above the closet doors be identified and detailed, reflecting a metal grid of some sort.
I think I'd leave it open. If they're going to end up doing brick, they leave them the option open.
We're leaving the opening clear with no material.
Recommend that a similar material be chosen for the screening element on the east.
Say that again?
You've made a proposal that, per the discussion of the board, that they come up with an alternate screening mechanism on the west, so you could do the same for the east since it's undefined in the plan.
Okay, well, okay, and actually that would be a great place to do the brick again, as a breezeway. Yeah, so the breeze, I don't know what you want to call them, the transom above the doors for the storage units on the east side be designed
A similar,
Compliment.
replicating any breezeway material that's used on the west side.
I'd avoid using the word breezeway, but permeability.
Okay, all right. I stand corrected.
Is there a second?
I second.
Great. Any discussion?
Was that Lynn?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Are you clear on the motion, Desiree?
I believe so. I can repeat it, but I would like clarification. So it sounded like the applicant had it sounded like the discussion was going towards like a recommendation of a condition, right? So that the applicant can move forward. Is that the intent here? because then Stan, you mentioned in your motion that an appropriate material approved by the board. So that kind of implies the continuance. So I'm just seeking
It's,
clarification on
it
that.
seemed like the applicant agreed to open running block brick configuration
Why
that was
don't you just
suggested.
revise the motion to just say all ventilation will be with neighborhood appropriate brick patterned openings rather than concrete breeze block.
Okay, that works.
Is
Is
that acceptable by the owner?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so masonry breeze block will be replaced with open running block.
Brick
Brick.
Brick.
Sorry.
for ventilation
Brick
and a
for
standard pattern.
ventilation. For ventilation in a standard pattern.
For both east and west faces.
Yes.
Okay.
Does
So
that work?
masonry,
Does that work for you, Lynn?
Yes.
great. And then the other recommended condition is that the features above the doors, the transom above the doors for the storage units on east side be designed replicating any permeable material used on the west side.
Replicating the brick usage on,
You can take that out since we just clarified that the screening mechanism is for both east and west.
right.
Okay.
Simple.
And that also that the doors and windows were wood clad with wood clad, metal clad.
You
Wood
might
doors.
want to give them the option of clad or wood clad.
Okay.
Because if they want to do wood doors, they can do wood doors.
Wood or wood aluminum clad doors
No.
and windows. Right?
Wood or wood clad.
No, wood or metal clad. That's what we usually say. So we don't use the dreaded word aluminum.
But that's what they are, right?
Stop laughing, Bob.
You saw me.
We're stuck with the same conditions that you are.
I know.
Okay. Motioner and seconder happy. Everybody's happy. Any further discussion? Can we call it?
I would like to make, if I can just do further discussion, I would, I'm a little concerned about tying the transom elements to a brick detail, because I believe that we would accept something that was not a brick detail. It's our recommendation, but I believe that an appropriate mesh would also be acceptable. And so I just wanted to mention that we might be a little restrictive in that detail.
Okay, so motion should be modified that the eastern can be metal mesh or brick elements.
Okay.
And Lynn, do you accept that?
I do.
Give the designers options here. Do you have it now, Desiree?
Yes.
Everybody happy? Can we call a question? Okay. Steve,
Aye.
Martha,
Aye.
Jan,
Aye.
Maurice,
Aye.
Stan,
Aye.
Lynn,
I
and I vote yes as well. Great. Thanks. We'll get you on your process that way, giving you a few options to discuss with your happy couple, and good luck with the project. But
Thank
you
you
can
very
move
much.
forward to PRS now.
Yeah, early question. Desiree, do you think we should draw that like a brick draw, should we change our drawings before the
No,
have that in our pocket before the next meeting or no?
you can
So-
show them as an additional detail. Do not change the plans. Everyone's doing that and it's screwing the process.
Okay, yeah. Got it. But like an addition, you can do an additional detail or something like that.
Yes, it really is up to you as the applicant. PRS does prefer to see the same drawings.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would suggest just keeping what you have and then adding that because they might have different recommendations than this board. They're independent of each other.
All right. Fair enough.
Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good
Bye.
to see you all.
Thanks all. Okay, moving on. Minor reviews, item 5. Michael Check, who sent an image of a zoning violation to both Stan and I for somebody who put in a gate that was originally on the development plan and they put it in and somebody turned them in because it's too close to a stop sign. But it's the only access to the property. So we've made recommendations on that. And Michael said there was nothing else in the pipeline. Did you hear anything otherwise, Stan?
No, I did not.
Okay. Anything from Desiree, anything?
No, I don't have anything else.
Okay. Steve?
Yes, I did a minor review yesterday, not for an architectural element, but a last minute discussion at Armory Park. So the Historic Landscape Subcommittee was contacted and I was brought in. So we met with Johnny and Storm to Shade about the recommendations for the east side of the senior center. So not specifically in the historic portion of the park, which is considered the west facade of the structure and west, but it is something that would be considered because of its historic nature. So it was a very last minute meeting. So I apologize if I met out of hopefully it's
So
appropriate.
yeah, I was gonna bring that up, Steve, but I mean, you can go ahead and finish, but I was gonna bring it up to bring it to this board or to ask if they wanted to see it. But definitely feel free to share your thoughts.
Yeah, tell us what you recommended so we know because they want us to have a special meeting about it.
Okay. So it is the plan seemed very appropriate. The recommendation of both the Historic Landscape Subcommittee and myself, which I'm not officially on the Historic Landscape Subcommittee because I'm no longer on the Historical Commission. I've timed out. Is that what was recommended is appropriate. It's rows of trees. It has it kind of holds some of the character of the original. A lot of the sweet acacias are left intact. The saguaro will be maintained. So we were very careful about that. The one aspect where there was a recommendation was the north side of the enclosure wall. I think it's a mechanical enclosure area that actually was recommended by the Parks and Rec and not Storm to Shade. And that is, it was a plan with a series of ocotillo and other more cactus sort of material. And the recommendation be that the row of ironwood be extended along that to help strengthen that perimeter planting of trees.
Is that where they removed the oleanders?
Where they remove the oleanders, exactly. So that was going to be mentioned to some Parks and Rec who was not represented at the meeting, but that was part of their design, and so that recommendation is moving forward from myself and the Historic Landscape Subcommittee.
Okay. Martha, you were about to comment?
I realized we're talking about minor reviews, and I just have a question for when we get to the open fair game part of the festivities. Has anybody heard about the proposed splash pad at the Children's Museum on the north side?
No, but we should do
Wait,
that.
let's
Move
finish.
on formally to item 6, call to the board. Martha, who wants the splash pad where?
Children's is talking about a splash pad on the north side of the Children's Museum, as opposed to the south side where they wanted to do. Desiree, have you heard?
So in to replace the playground with artificial grass, they now want a splash pad?
No,
These guys.
it
Let's
can
not,
go, yeah.
let's not go into hearsay. Desiree, do you know anything about an upcoming proposal we'll be reviewing?
I don't. That doesn't mean that there isn't one, but I would need to find out. But I can look into that.
Apparently, the Rotary Club is sponsoring a lot of whatever's happening.
It can go in their other structure.
Yeah. Just heads up.
You mean under the new solar parking area?
Yeah.
Now let's be nice. We are on camera. This is recorded. People can hear us. Until we know something and are notified as a board, let's not go there.
Right. I would just have the ears to the ground.
Okay.
We have encouraged them in the past to look elsewhere though, and not put it in the public park, put their
We're
more
not supposed to
facilities.
discuss
Okay,
hypothetical cases.
got it.
That's general guidance, so let's not. We're in call to the board. I have a couple things. Desiree, you sent out notice for a training in Mesa if people want to go on the 30th.
Yes.
But it will also be repeated down here this fall.
Yeah, so Sherpa is doing a series of 3 trainings throughout Arizona. So this one in May is going to be in Central Mesa. There will be one in Flagstaff, and we don't have a date yet for Southern Arizona. That will be the last one, but they said winter. So
Is
whatever that
anything
means.
changed?
December, January, maybe. What's
Most
that?
of about half the board went to the CLG training in 2024. Do you think there's going to be a lot of new information if things changed? Should we ask for a report back on the agenda?
Yeah, I
I
mean,
can't
and
go.
if there are certain things, at least for the Southern Arizona one, because we're going to work together, Shippo and us, so if there are certain things you would like to see,
Okay.
I can recommend that, and we, tailor if you want something different or certain areas to focus on. I did look at the agenda for the one in Mesa. It's quite broad. I mean, everything from archaeology to, Secretary of the Tier standards, design review. So, yeah.
And it's fun and free if you're able, right?
Yes. Yeah, you just need to RSVP, but it's free.
Okay. And I'm on the city's newsletter stuff, so I don't know if you all got it, but they just announced and created a website yesterday at 5 p.m. for Code 26, which is coming up. And 2 things I noticed there is one of the proposed changes is wall heights will be going from 6 to 7 feet. And the height of ADUs will be going from 12 to 15 feet. And there are 2 public hearings. The in-person is on June 1st, and the virtual one is on June 8th. If you go to PDSD Planning Initiatives, it has a new separate website that can send you to the links of everything that they're now proposing. And does that mean in June we'll probably be seeing
Redline.
He'll be coming back with a presentation for the board, or do you think that will be July? Because we'd like to be abreast of the things that.
I think the red lines are supposed to be available next week. I think that's the target. So once they are available, I'll share them with you all. And then in terms of like presentations, I will need to follow up with Carver, the project.
Okay, either way,
manager.
can we add it to the agenda in June so that we have the options to discuss how things are changing?
Sure.
Okay, and that's another thing. Next month, I would like to have staff come tell us why plans review got to see revised plans that we didn't for a case we recently saw where it was approved with things that we haven't seen, which we may see back, but they may be changing the process. So I'd like a little clarification on some of the changes, like the change that is now on the agenda saying we need the consent of the applicant to continue a case one time, which has never been my experience in 25 years. So
yeah, I mean, I can answer them right now if you would like.
I'd like staff to come tell us what's going on in terms of process issues that the board should be aware of. Because if plans review and we get to see different plans and can make different recommendations on different processes, it may expedite the process for the applicant, but it could create complications, especially since both of our boards are the only members of standing to make an appeal in a problematic case.
Yeah, I mean, I will just say on that one, they responded to your comments. So, and
To a
that will be
degree.
coming, and that will,
But they
what's
also
that?
didn't address, to a degree, but they also didn't address things like what they'd actually already done to the contributing structure, which
Right, and that will come back to you, but you know, they got a recommendation of denial, right? So they don't want to move forward with something that was recommended for denial.
but the
So
project
we
was
can come back and talk
okay.
about it, but from the guidance I've gotten from the city attorney is that it's up to the applicant, right? They're the ones applying for what they want. And as long as we're, you know, reviewing it and providing that feedback, I mean, they have the option to change, right? And ultimately their first project was recommended denial.
Okay. All right. It's kind of a complicated issue. But should we do it now or should we do it under staff updates? We're look at your calendars for a few minutes while we do other things and get to the rest of the agenda because we're going to have a special meeting for the case Steve specified and potentially to expedite the timeline for a case we may be seeing again. So sometime in the next 2 weeks, Desiree?
So there was a request, the Storm to Shade project that Steve mentioned. That's a city project happening in the HPZ. Some of it's in the right of way. A small portion of it is in the actual park. So we wanted to bring that to you all as a courtesy review. The staff was not able to make this meeting, so that's why they weren't here today. But they are also on this timeline with the contractor, so they're hoping to move quickly. So the request is to see if you do want to review it, beyond, you know, having Steve review it, you know, when would be a good time. And so I do have some dates.
Okay.
So I mean, one, we could do it as soon as this week on Thursday, at a few different times during the day. We could also look at next week in the afternoon, 3 to 5 p.m. On Tuesday or Wednesday. If we were to do it this Thursday, there's availability at 11 a.m., noon, or 1 p.m.
Okay. We just have to ensure a quorum to do this. I don't know who's available through the day and who's only available in the evenings. But we need to have 5 of us, 6 of us. 5. Steve, you can do it during the day and afternoon?
I can do it this coming Thursday, specifically that day.
Okay.
But, yeah, but I only until 4 o'clock. After that, I'm not available.
For anybody else available this Thursday?
I am not available on Thursday. This is Lynn.
Okay.
I could be.
All right.
I could be available.
Maurice.
I could be available.
Great. And I can be available. Anybody else? Jan or Martha?
I think so.
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Any preference for 11, 12, or 1? Any of you?
1 o'clock is probably best.
Early afternoon would be best for me.
Okay.
1 o'clock?
Yeah. Can you set up a meeting for Thursday? And does that give you time to post it tomorrow in a 24-hour window?
Yes.
Okay. And
I-
please make
I have a question. As you know, I am the commissioner for Ward 6 for Parks and Recs, and we're finally getting the end of the budget discussion for this year. We're expecting it to be finished somewhere in June, beginning of June, and we're going to have a lot of staff cuts. Okay. We're downsizing. Now, is historic preservation following the same pattern to downsize, or are you guys, do you have a plan? What's going to be? Have you already gotten some kind of word? Desiree?
Downsize in terms of, sorry, I must have missed that part. Inside permit applications?
No, it's in terms of personnel stuff.
Oh,
Okay, we are cutting down position and basically uh, diminishing the number of staff that's at Parks and Recs.
oh, I see. Sorry. No, we're not cutting down on staff with historic preservation. But along those lines, Jason Lilienthal, who's a historic preservation lead planner, is leaving the city. He's taken another position elsewhere, but we will be backfilling that role. So the approval does need to come from the city manager's office. But it's not, I mean, I have no reason to believe we won't be able to backfill that position. So there's support from our department director to hire as quickly as possible.
Great. Good news. Please give Jason our thanks. He's done a great job in his time here.
I will. Thank you. Sad to see him go.
Any other call to the board questions or comments? Anybody?
John, I'm just gonna let you know that I will not be here for the June meeting.
Okay. You said you won't be, and Jan won't be. Is everybody else available the third Tuesday in June?
I am
Yes.
not.
Pardon?
I am not. I am on a plane coming back from Washington State.
Okay, so no Martha, possibly no Jan, and no Steve. That means it's absolutely critical that everybody else shows up, and I will call Matt. See if he can definitely make that one. And please make sure he gets notice of the special meeting. He may be able to do a Zoom at work on Thursday and be interested. He likes that sort of topic a lot. Okay. I think we hit staff updates. What else? We've got a couple of items already for a meeting one way or another. Do you have any agenda items or cases that you think will be seen in June?
1 second. So the only thing I have right now on the list, it looks like we're waiting for a resubmittal. Oh yeah, that case, I don't even know if that project is coming back, the 726 South Bean. So yeah, at this point, there's no cases, but that could change between now and then.
Okay.
Of course, other than there was one continued case this evening, right? That
There's
could
one
come back
continued
if
case
they're
this
ready, but
Yeah.
sometimes they take longer. So.
And it might give us a little chance to do some housekeeping in a short summer meeting. Okay. All right. Anything else from anybody? Let's close this puppy down before 9. Motion to adjourn?
Me, I'm making that one.
Yay. Motion made by Martha. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening. Enjoy the moderate May weather. And a few of you will see you Thursday. And Jan, if you can make it, great. Your input's always great. So, all right. Thanks all. Thanks, Lynn. Sorry.
Bye-bye.
Very good.
Okay. And anything else, Desiree? Are we all set?
I think we're all set. Thanks.
Great.
You'll have
Night
a
all.
great evening.
Bye.